Yay. Okie dokie. So I am so super excited to be able to speak to you, Natalia, our brand new general manager. I know I've already told you this and any other person who would listen, but when this whole process was finished and you became ours, our communities, I don't think it could have been any better for me. If I had the opportunity to invent a general manager and who they are, I wouldn't change a thing. I'm so excited
Oh,
that
God,
we have
so
you
nice.
in our community. So I'm also super excited just to be able to have this chat with you. I think you're going to get a laugh actually out of one of the last questions I will ask you. But let's get started. So I would love to know more about you, and I'm sure our community would as well. Tell us as much or as little as you want, but let's hear a little bit about you. What would you like to tell us about you growing up?
Oh, thanks, Councillor Swan. That was super nice, by the way. You just made me feel so nice, and you were so warm at the interviews. So I really appreciate that warm aura that you give out and the support. It's really nice when you're the new kid on in town to have some level of support and cheerleading when you start. So I'm really grateful for that. Thank you. What something about me? I obviously have an accent. I was born in Bulgaria. I at 5 years old, my parents went to work overseas in Libya, and they left me with my grandma in Bulgaria. So I was brought up by my grandma, and when my parents came back, I was 7 years old, and I essentially met them by shaking their hand. It was on my birthday, which happens to be also the first day of school. Um, so I guess a lot of the personality traits I owe to my grandma. And I guess some of that level of resilience and relying on yourself and really trying to, even when the going gets tough, you have to keep on believing and moving forward and trying to do the right thing and provide level. You have to provide respect to everyone, and everybody is human. And I think a lot of those qualities come from my grandma. And then I went to when I was 15 or 16 years old, we moved to Zimbabwe. And so I learned English then. And so I did my O levels in one of the private girls' school there. It was before all the drama that happened in Zimbabwe. And then we were there for a couple of years. And then my parents managed to get one of the visas that allows you to become a permanent resident in New Zealand. And so as a family, we all moved. So myself, my brother, who is 7.5 years younger than me, and then my mother and father. And then I went to university in New Zealand. I'm a Kiwi by passport. I don't sound like one, but I've been there for over 20 years. I hold New Zealand quite dear to my heart. I'm married to an Australian, so by default, I hold Australia dear to my heart as well. And we've been here since 2015. So I finished accounting and IT degree in New Zealand, and then worked in one of the big four audit firms, and then went to Bermuda, and then back to New Zealand, and then now I find myself in beautiful Coffs Harbour.
Yay! And we are so lucky to have you. Oh my goodness, that is an incredible story. So now that we do have you in Coffs Harbour, what do you love about Coffs so far?
Well, I love the nature. I am a bit of a lover of all bits natural, but I think probably one of the big things that I love about Coffs Harbour is that it's almost like the rough diamond that is yet to be made into a prince or princess or whatever you wish to make it into. Um, I I have, I guess, like myself, I have a fascination with taking something that is not 100% finished, or maybe at stages where you haven't really written its story, and then try to write its story. And so to me, I feel like Coffs Harbour is one of the areas that has got such an amazing potential, not only environmentally and how beautiful it is with all the palm trees and the coastlines and the beautiful villages and all the character inducing areas, and at the same time not really over commercialized, so you don't have the really big developments and you just feel like you're part of a community. But at the same time, I like the i- innovation that happens here, even this council and how we run some of our activities. I've researched and worked in a couple of councils, and some of the stuff that we do here is quite unique. But and also being the first eco destination, to me, it's quite important. It's important that we are we are aiming to do really awesome things, because that appetite for innovation and growth is what propels a nation or a city or a region forward, and it seems like we've got it in spades. So yeah, that's
Yes,
what I
we
love about
are
it.
very lucky. I know I love our eco destination, our tourism
Yeah.
qualifications, first ones that we got. And speaking of that, one of the big things that I know our destination team do promote is how to be a tourist in your own backyard. So not that I think you're going to get too much downtime as a general manager, but what do you like to do in your spare time? What are you looking forward to trying out here?
Oh, I love being a tourist in Coffs Harbour and the region. I love it. I've been as a family, so my husband and my son and I, we love going to places and eating food and doing some of the activities. So far we've been to the Saltell Chili Festival. I love chili, by the way, just a side note. It was really cool, and just kind of trying to explore the different places there. We've been to Woolgoolga and the amazing cafes there that are, so the beach and walking through the footpath and kind of seeing the whales. I love the walk on Buttonbird Island. So did my son, especially going right to the other end and just wondering, how did we even make that harbor? How creative was that? And we went to the Sealy Lookout, and that was incredible. So the next thing that we are doing is we are all going to go and explore the treetop top
Oh,
walks, because by
yes.
the time we had gone there, we had just had lunch, and we were like, oh, I'm not sure that now is the right time to go and jump through these things, but we'll go on an empty stomach. um and look, I think as an activity, we kind of like walkers, and nothing too well. We love playing tennis, but other than that, we like exploring the nature and going to the different little paths, and went to Emerald Beach in the little beach cafe there, and just really like that almost half hidden, half lost situations where you just go around the corner and see commentary around the lighthouse, or like, it's really nice. You feel like you're exploring and finding new things, which are obviously not new because people have already put them there, but to find them, it's really cool.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love going for walks. So we'll have to. I'll give you some good
Definitely.
places to go. There's so many around
That would
here.
be
They
awesome.
are, yes, they are wonderful. And Chili Fest is amazing. I'm Whoopi based, so I have to say that I also love Curry Fest. So you'll have to come
Oh,
up to that in September as
definitely.
well.
Oh, definitely.
All of the hot stuff.
That's a given.
Yeah, definitely cool. So now I'm gonna move away from the warm and fuzzy getting to know cough stuff, because as sometimes happens in local communities, we're very excited to have you, and it's been very welcoming. But sometimes there's a little bit of misinformation out there, and one of the things that people might have some questions about is around your involvement with the Central Coast Council and the financial situation there. I know what an incredible job you've done, but would you like to clear anything up, or tell us anything about how you've come from there to us if anyone does have any concerns?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and I think, thank you so much for giving me the chance to clarify that. Um, so I started at Central Coast in the week when it was announced
Mm.
that Central Coast Council could not pay its wages, I was not part of the problem. I was definitely part of the solution. And I started on a Tuesday, and it was quite interesting. I was employed by the CEO, and I didn't even get to work one day with the CEO because he had taken a leave of absence at that point. So when I started, I had an acting CEO that was not part of the recruitment. Or the initial stages of the recruitment process, and then 4 days later, the minister announced that the councillors were suspended, and therefore 4 days later, I had a brand new general manager that started, or brand new CEO. um, and the purpose of, so I started 4 days before the administrator did, and at that point they had asked me, the general manager had asked me, Natalia, you obviously didn't know the extent of the problem that this council is under, and we have had a number of CFOs, and you're starting as the CFO, being the chief financial officer, to fix the mess. But clearly, at the time that you were interviewing, you didn't know that the mess that you need to fix. So um, um, at that point, he said, do you want to stay with that, or we can, just like the administrator has brought him as the new general manager, they could also bring an experienced CFO to handle that. And I said, look, I've been here 4 days, but I understand finances, and I can follow what has happened, and I know what needs to be done to be fixed. So if you'd like to give me a chance and work with me, I'd like to be able to show that I can work with you and make it all happen. So it's been really good. So the general manager and myself, and also with the rest of the leadership team, we've worked together, came up with a recovery plan, and then it actually became probably one of the proudest moments, where we've gone from the biggest financial crisis, which then eventuated, because of restructuring and losing so many staff, ended up being into the biggest people crisis. So it was heart-wrenching, some of the changes of having to lose 278 staff, physical staff, and 600 positions. It is incredible size, because the size of the council is so incredible. But then 12 months later, we've gone from $70 million in losses to about $70 million in profits. It's unheard of. It's unheard of, the turnaround, and that has been something that I've been part of. So I've definitely been the driving force and a part of the turnaround, but not part of the problem.
Well, I'm glad you got the opportunity to say that, because I know from seeing your resume and the process that we went through to get you, you are incredibly qualified and amazing in the financial field. Would you mind mentioning what your qualifications are? Because we should feel very assured to have you again.
No, thank you, Councillor Swan. So, well, I am a chartered accountant. So that is a qualification that you get after you have your degree. And so I have a Bachelor of Business in accounting and information technology. And at the time, because I chose to do a double major, it ended up being a 5-year degree. And then you have to go in an approved training organization, and then you have to sit through myriad of tests in order to be under the guidance of fellow chartered accountants to become a chartered accountant.
Awesome. And you mentioned as well that you'd worked in some of the audit offices as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I spent in Auckland, I spent 4 years with Deloitte. It's one of the big audit firms, and I was auditing in the commercial setting a whole number of variety of entities. From charitable organizations to Auckland's water and sewer department that manages the water and sewer of Auckland, to Microsoft, to property development organizations, so quite a few. And then I came to work on the Gold Coast for Ernst & Young, which is another of the big four global accounting firms. And there I specialized a lot in the, I guess, in the property sphere. So I audited the company that manages Q1, or that built Q1, and I did a number of tests for them, plus the theme parks. So they were moving between property investment and also theme parks. And then I chose that one of the areas that I was most interested in it was financial services, because they were the most complex, so in the banking sphere. So I ended up going to Bermuda, and again with one of the big four, Ernst & Young in Bermuda, and there I specialize specifically in the hedge funds. And so you end up dealing with a lot of financial complex financial institutions. In fact, I was also involved in the earlier audits of Lehman Brothers before Lehman Brothers collapsed, and then I've been in the banking sphere and worked for a CBA subsidiary in New Zealand. So it's kind of been a bit of a varied career, but yeah, I'm happy to be in the council sphere now. I enjoy it.
Well, it just blows me away yet again how lucky we are to have you and have someone as incredible as you with your experience here leading us. Did you want to talk about at all, or give your opinion on where we stand financially as a council and as a community?
Yeah, look, I think as a council, I I think that there are some opportunities to really improve the financial sustainability. I'm not in the least suggesting that we are financially unsustainable, but I would be lying if I said that I don't feel comfortable with projected losses. And at the moment, we have got projected losses for this year and next year. And so I do feel that this council has been quite driven to deliver assets for the community. I think that is, while it is really exciting and great for the community, it has to be at a rate that can be sustainably paid for. And so in my view, and the way that I would like to position some elements is that we might need to just reprioritize and maybe slow down on some of the capital expenditure, just to ensure that we can continue paying for the assets that we currently have, as well as delivering assets that we can afford to deliver. And so that is something that I'm heavily reviewing almost on a daily basis, in terms of figuring out what would be the most appetizing proposal to suggest. It's not going to be anything that is really drastic. I don't really like drastic after Central Coast Council. I'm trying to do things not in a drastic way, but yeah, I think definitely there would be some areas for I wouldn't say improvement, but maybe just slight changing of the dial.
Yes, do you know what? I really, really like the way that you put all of that just then, that, yeah, we have had a focus on delivering assets for the community, and we've benefited hugely from that. But just balancing that out, I really like the way that you described that then. Thank you. So now, I don't know about you, but I haven't really come across very many younger or female general managers in local government land. So how about you? Do you feel like you are fitting the stereotype of a standard council general manager, or do you think you might be varying from that a little?
Well, look, I think all the kudos goes to yourself and your fellow councillors. I think you have been the bravest group also to take me on specifically for that, because I am probably a little bit different I am probably a bit younger, probably definitely not the stereotypical person, and it takes a certain group and a certain councillor group to actually decide to back, I guess, a non-standard horse. Not that I suggested I'm a horse, but just figure of speech. And so I'm actually very honored and very humble about being that given that opportunity. And also um, um, yeah, I think it's been one of the few times that probably I have been in the right place at the right time. There've been so many, feels like millions of times where I've been second best, and I've applied and applied and applied, never got not gotten where I've wanted to go. But eventually things kind of work out, and I feel that I'm really grateful for this opportunity and for you and your fellow councillors to have given me a go.
Yay, well, we are very grateful that you said yes. So, and I think that you're exactly right. You know, the face of local government in general, community leadership, it's all changing. What's your view on that? How do you see that change affecting our community? How can we be innovative as a community and as a council and get on board with that? I mean, you know, as you said, we are off from the norm in having an amazing general manager like you. So what do you think that innovation and change could lead us to?
Yeah, well, look, I think I would hope that we deliver different by being relatable, and maybe by being more or maybe more present. I'm not comparing myself to the previous general manager, just hypothetically saying um, by being open to explore things, but also knowing that, you know, sometimes if you know that you might not necessarily fit a particular mold, you really have a greater sense of um, interest to understand the wider view, because you're wanting to find a way um, that is respectful to the role that you're trying to do. And that's not to suggest that stereotypical general managers don't do that. It just with change comes change, and with I personally am not I like to get involved with my people. I think that's been something that um, um, I feel comfortable in knowing what I know, what I don't know, but also I feel that leadership is also leading from the front and not sending your troops out while you're sitting in comfort. And therefore, if the going gets tough, I also tough it out with everyone else, and I think that creates a different sense of commitment, that also creates a different expectation. So I think for myself and also my fellow team members and colleagues, we're all experiencing change at the moment, because I expect things that probably weren't expected over the past 11 years. And that's because I like to understand things myself, but I also probably have a view on how certain things, how I've seen, how I've seen stuff happen successfully, and therefore I'm driven and ambitious for this city, for this region. For me, just average isn't going to be good enough. It never is. And so, because I'm to hungry to expect more of myself, or probably hungry to expect more of my team, but not at their own expense as well. I think that's probably something that is a little bit different based on maybe the people that I've also reported to. That's you know that's probably where some of that difference lies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know from conversations that we've had that you absolutely, everything that you've just said then about, you know, putting yourself in the firing line and being out there, you have given examples of you standing there and answering those questions personally. And I found that really, really admirable. Do you feel that communication, open, honesty, just being willing to be seen is something that helps to build trust in leadership, in council? You know, we're going through a phase, I guess, globally, but especially in Australia, you know, at all levels of government, where that trust and connection is kind of a bit stressed or frayed at the moment. So yeah, what do you think we can do as a community? You know, there's been a few divides over different subjects, and there always will be, but how do you think that as a council, a leadership team, and our whole council team, as well as our elected officials, how can we rebuild trust and improve trust and communication with our community?
Yeah, I think that's a very insightful question. I really like it, because it does go to the core of everything. I think communication is all about transparency, and trust is built on providing that level of transparency and knowing that you have been given all the whole story, not just half the story, and therefore really leaves bits about interpretation. I think what I have noticed is, when you're really prepared to share everything, warts and all, and really explain if something is not quite right, but you know, this is the reason why we've done it, or this is what the driving force is in there, and not keep things in the background, so that people are feeling a little bit used. It opens the communication, but I think on the flip side, they also, in order for this to also work, there needs to be also preparedness from everyone to not be obsessed about admiring a problem. And we seem to like the idea of wanting to just talk about the problem, and that is something that I've received a number of times. I've received emails where people just want to keep on telling me how bad things were in the past. I get it, but I can't change the past. The history's moved on. Let's have a conversation. If you have suggestions of how we can improve the current and the future, I'm happy to have a conversation. But I don't really want to be admiring the problem of what's happened, and really come and tell you, yes, I am really sorry if things had not gone the right way, and I apologize that might have happened, but I can't change that. And I think as a community, sometimes there's also a fascination of finding a villain and just really going for it. And I don't think that benefits anyone. I don't think it necessarily makes the person that's writing it being the hero either. Sometimes we all need to be able to be in a situation where we're prepared to work together as adults, and it's okay to have different views. It's if I say that, oh, I think this makes sense and this is the logical thing, and you disagree, and I respect that view, because there is a reason or if we were all the same, it will become boring. And therefore, okay, I understand that view, but it's okay to have a different view. And I think the acceptance of being different without necessarily needing to try and judge the person or be negative about it or I think that is really what makes the difference, and that's the thing that I'm really keen on moving forward. I would give everyone the opportunity to be heard. I want to hear it, but let's not just only the past. Like, tell me what you want me to move forward in the future, and I'll do my best in that space.
Yes. Oh, you're speaking my language. I loved everything that you said just then. And it's true. When we focus on our problems, we can't actually get over them because we're too busy looking at them. We need to look at the solutions. And I think, you know, as a community, whatever happened in the past, we can look at that. There is no judgment there. There's no value to be gained from that. And if we can just say, look, here it is. Here's the reality of it, and we can move forward from that, because even all the challenges that we do face, and whether they're financial or otherwise, they're also actually opportunities for growth and for us to come up with innovative and different ways to deal with them. So I think, yes, while there are some concerns, I think it's going to create opportunities for us to grow and evolve as a community. So yes,
I agree.
it's good. It's good to hear that you feel that way. So on that note, you've touched on it a little bit, but in your opinion, what do you think for us moving forward are the most valuable services, or how can we be of service to our community, and how do you see us moving towards that?
Look, I think maybe it all starts even with our identity. There have been a lot of councils that have moved to this idea that they're about the city. If you, and I'll explain exactly what I mean by that, because at the moment it's probably cryptic. I think when you put a brand or even a logo and it says Coffs Harbour City Council, and you put it on everything, there is a tendency of really looking inwards and make it all about the council and make it all about the staff, and it comes with situations where some people might not feel very comfortable or proud about working for council for whatever reasons. But the reality is that we are all working for the city. And one thing that you'd notice is a lot of the time I just refer to the city, the city, the city. And I think for myself, just like you might find it's city at Gold Coast and city at Newcastle. I think it all starts with just reminding ourselves of what are we here for, and we're here for the city of Coffs Harbour. Okay, Coffs Harbour. I'm not going to go into the other debate about it's not encompassing all of the different villages, but the reality is this is an act. We called City of Coffs Harbour. It's City of Coffs Harbour. At some point in time, we're just going to have to move on with the view that it encompasses everyone. We love all of our villages in different areas, but I think that probably becomes the first bit that I'm really wanting to move along. I'm really wanting to remove that focus on talking about the council and making it about, yeah, city of Coffs Harbour. That, I do the roads for Coffs Harbour, I take the garbage for Coffs Harbour, I put the water and sewer for Coffs Harbour. We are all there to make this city better, and that's as opposed to just talking about council. And then once we have kind of nailed that, I think then the next bit is what matters, what is some of the direction. Obviously we've got a waste problem, we have to fix that. That's not a quick fix, but I've already started some discussions with local GMs around that to find what are alternative opportunities in that space, and the team is also working in that. So that will be an area that we obviously have to focus on. Some of the As every council, we have instances where we have pockets that probably historically have grown over time, and therefore the span of control is bigger than it should. So there would be a level of housekeeping internally that I'd like us to just tidy things up, not from the point of view of just making change just because I'm the new GM, but just so that we don't set up other people for failure. We obviously post bypass, what is the city's identity? We've started off just by saying, okay, we are here for the city, but what is that city? Is the city about healthcare? Is it about tourism? Is it about economic development? What are some of the pain threshold? We've got 38% of our young kids not finishing grade 12. Why is that happening? And then we're losing the young people when they go. Why is that happening? We need to keep the young kids and the young families, because we need to maintain these diversified situation, not only from a rating point of view, in order to ensure that we're able to not rely, for example, on one portion of a population to pay the rates, but we also need it for economic development moving forward. And so for me, economic development is super important, but what does that mean for this council? And that will be a discussion that I'll have to have with yourself and your fellow councillors in terms of determining what is the identity of the city, what do we want to aim, and what would city revitalization look like, and what would we look like post bypass, so that we are attractive and really a city that people would want to visit because it's worthwhile in its own right, as opposed to just because it's close to a motorway or between two different cities. And that comes back to that bit about being ambitious. I really want to facilitate Coffs Harbour City to be an area that is known for its own right, and people would like to come and visit us because we're cool, not for any other reason.
Yay. Oh, I love all of that. I could listen to you all day. I love the vision that you have for us. This is very, very exciting. Well, I know that you have another meeting coming up, so I won't keep you for much longer. Before I ask you my final question, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to talk to you. It's actually, I'll tell you something. I have wanted to be able to chat to and interview the councillors and the senior council staff since I first started in council last term, so a long time. It's a dream that's finally come true. Tick that goal. So and you know what? It's been so valuable for me, just hearing that from you, but also for everyone else. I think that it is going to go such a long way to building that trust and the transparency, and just seeing how much you care and how passionate you are, and the experience that you bring. Again, I'm just blown away and so grateful that we have you with us. So here's my final question. I love this story. Can you please tell everyone the pie cart story?
Oh my God, are you serious? Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you a shortened version so I don't put people to sleep. But when I was at Muswellbrook Shire Council, which is a very small regional town, for a number of years, council had been trying to get a bakery in the local shopping center, and for one reason or another, it's just we haven't been able to be successful in getting that. But the community has said loud and clear, we need to have a bakery, and whenever we have said expressions of interest, we were having issues getting a bakery in town. And eventually the progressive mayor that we had at the time said via the general manager, Natalia, why don't you just let's have a pilot, you see whether you can bring a little pie cart or something like that, and then we'll just try it out. If there is demand, then obviously we're going to look and maybe operate it ourselves as a council to start off with. And so that's so I hired a hospitality coordinator, and I must say again, I was the CFO there, the chief financial officer. What do I know about hospitality and bakery and baked goods, and who are the providers, the suppliers, and what does that look like? And the hospitality coordinator was able to locate a little pie cart from Sydney, and it got delivered, and we bought a commercial microwave, and we found we asked number of commercial providers, and we even brought in baked goods from a number of them to taste them, so that we know that they will be great. And then we started off with that business, and we sold out of our baked goods on day one, in a tiny little shopping cart, pie cart in front of one of the big supermarkets. And at lunchtime, because we only had the one staff member, at lunchtimes I was spending my lunchtimes to cover the lunchtimes of my staff member selling the pies and the sausages. And probably the most meaningful part of this whole story was when I found out about this little old lady who would walk 5 or 6 or 7 kilometers, occasionally in the rain, to have her only meal of the day from the pie cart. And that's when you've made a difference.
Yes. Well, I love that. And do you know what else? The other reason I love that story, not just making a difference to the community, but I just think that's an amazing concrete example of you as a senior executive leader selling pies in your lunchtime to make a difference and to see it work. So, you know, they say that some leaders like to, you know, be seen as a leader, and others just get in and get what needs to be done, and they lead by example, which is very inspiring. So yes, and you know, from a new community perspective, who we now have that amazingness, I can't wait to see the exciting ways we can come up with new ways to reduce our reliance on rates and all of that stuff. Combine the entrepreneurialism with all of the banking and corporate and finance knowledge. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Swan. You've been so amazing and so easy and great to talk to. And thank you for just making it so easy to really relate, and for being interested in the story and remembering some of those stories from the interviews. I really appreciate the opportunity, and once again, I really appreciate your support.
Oh,
Awesome.
thank you. Well, thanks for chatting to me. And yeah, I guess next I'll have to get Paul. Paul can be my next interview. We'll have our mayor, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, I will stop our recording.